Welcome to the Pardius channel. Today we explain Numbers chapter 34 in a clear and simple way, step by step.
Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a deeply structured, fascinating chapter where God gives Moses the precise, definitive geographic borders of the land of Canaan, and then strictly appoints the leaders who are going to be responsible for dividing it. This isn't just some random list of places. It is literally the blueprint of the Promised Land.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the context and the southern border, move up to the west and north boundaries, drop down the eastern boundary, and then figure out exactly how this land gets divided among the tribes. Finally, we'll look at the specific leaders appointed for the job and wrap up with some highly practical life lessons.
Part 1, Context and Southern Border.
So where exactly are we standing right now? Let's establish the context as we open chapter 34. The Israelites have just finished decades of wandering in the wilderness, right? They are currently camped out on the plains of Moab, sitting right on the banks of the Jordan River, looking straight across at the city of Jericho. This is it. God speaks to Moses to give the absolute final briefing before they cross over. He says, when you enter Canaan, the land that falls to you as your inheritance will have these exact boundaries.
Now look at how precisely this southern border is traced in verses 3 through 5. We're moving point by point, east to west. God tells them the southern side kicks off right at the bottom of the Salt Sea on the east. From there it dips south of a place called Scorpion Pass, cuts through the wilderness of Zin, and goes just south of Kadesh Barnea, which is a spot they knew all too well from their earlier travels. Then the line sweeps over to Hazar Adar, on to Asmon, and finally hooks up with the Wadi of Egypt, a seasonal riverbed, following it all the way until it ends at the sea.
You probably noticed that name, Scorpion Pass. In the original Hebrew, the text says the ascent of Akrabim, which literally translates to scorpions. It's kind of crazy, but clarifying these ancient Hebrew terms into everyday English really helps us draw a mental map, doesn't it? It shows us that this southern flank wasn't just an invisible line, it was defined by rugged, harsh, and genuinely dangerous terrain that acted as a massive natural barrier to protect the nation.
Part 2, West and North Boundaries. With the southern flank totally locked down, God draws the western edge. And honestly, the western border, laid out in verse 6, is the easiest border of the whole chapter. The text simply says, your western boundary will be a coast of the Great Sea. This will be your boundary on the west. Today we know the Great Sea as the Mediterranean Sea. So this massive, vast body of water forms an undeniable, absolute natural wall for their entire western edge.
Now, let's build the top of our mental box. Verses 7 through 9 lay out the northern border. God draws a line straight inland from the Mediterranean coast. You start at the Great Sea and mark a line to Mount Hor. And just a quick note here, this is a northern Mount Hor, entirely different from the one down south where Aaron passed away. So from Mount Hor, the line shoots over to Lebo Hamath, which literally means the entrance to Hamath. Then it travels to Zedad, cuts across to Ziphron, and caps off at Hazar Enan. It's a very firm, specific sequence of landmarks sealing off the north.
Part 3, the eastern boundary.
To close out this geographic square, we head down the eastern side in verses 10 through 12. You start right where the northern border left off at Hazar Enan, and you run a line south to Shephem. From Shephem, it drops down to Riblah, positioned on the east side of a place called Ain. Then it hits the eastern slopes of the Sea of Kinnereth. From there, the border just follows the natural, downward path of the Jordan River until the goings out, the absolute end of the line, hits the Salt Sea. The entire perimeter is now complete.
It is absolutely fascinating when you connect the ancient Hebrew text with modern-day geography. It makes the physical reality of the Promised Land click instantly. When the text says the Salt Sea, we know that today as the Dead Sea. And the Sea of Kinnereth, that's the famous Sea of Galilee. So practically speaking, this eastern border runs straight from the Sea of Galilee, straight down the Jordan River Valley, and empties right into the Dead Sea. It forms a perfectly natural, watery wall on the east.
Part 4, Dividing among the tribes.
Now that the physical borders are set in stone, the text pivots from pure geography to pure logistics. God has drawn this massive, carefully measured box, and Moses is told to command the Israelites regarding it. The obvious next question is, well, how do we distribute it? Verse 13 gives the instruction. Moses is to assign the specific land by lot as an inheritance.
But here is the catch. Moses clarifies that this newly mapped territory inside Canaan is only being given to 9.5 tribes. You might be wondering, why just 9.5? Well, verses 14 and 15 remind us that the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had already secured their inheritance. they previously asked for and were granted the land east of the Jordan River toward the sunrise. So this precise new blueprint we just mapped out is exclusively for the remaining 9.5 tribes.
Part 5. Appointing the tribal leaders.
You can't just hand over a massive chunk of real estate without a solid administration to manage it. To ensure this land is distributed fairly, orderly, and divinely, God steps in and names the top executives. In verses 16 and 17, God tells Moses to delegate the ultimate authority to two specific men, Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun. It's a brilliant balance of leadership. Eleazar brings the spiritual authority, seeking God's direction, while Joshua brings the military and administrative muscle, actually leading the people on the ground. Together, they are the ultimate overseers.
But obviously, Eleazar and Joshua can't manage every single parcel of land by themselves. So in verses 18 through 28, God commands the appointment of one leader from every single inheriting tribe to support them. You've got 10 incredibly capable men chosen here. And just look at the first name on the list. Caleb, son of Jephunneh, representing the tribe of Judah. Remember him? He was one of the original faithful spies, and now, decades later, he is stepping right into his reward. The rest of the guys on this list are the designated heads of their families, handpicked by God to execute the division at the local level. These are the boots on the ground, entrusted with turning the blueprint into a reality.
Part 6. Practical Lessons and Recap.
Now, you might read Numbers 34 and think it's just a dry list of geography and genealogy, but there are some absolutely crucial, everyday lessons hiding in here. Think about it. Just as the Israelites needed precise, unmistakable borders before they could even set foot in the land, we need to define clear boundaries in our own personal and professional lives. Before they took a single step into Canaan, God had the entire master plan laid out. We've got to plan carefully before making major moves too. And finally, even monumental leaders like Moses or Joshua needed a team. God specifically commanded that responsibilities be shared and leadership delegated. You literally can't do it all alone.
So, as we wrap up this step-by-step explainer of Numbers chapter 34, I really want you to ask yourself, how can you apply this ancient blueprint of preparation, boundary setting, and structured teamwork to your own life today? Because once you actually define your borders and gather your team, you're finally ready to move forward.
Thank you for learning with us. If this helped you understand the chapter better, like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.